it's supposed to feel.
Never break, always fight, never quit, do it right, play the game, win it life, have no shame, there's no time, feel the pain, live the grind, I could change, in my mind, pick a lane, commit and climb, the only way to win it life, I never miss, that's fact, taking big swings, bitch, hand me the bat, put me in the ring, you'll go out in a bag, cause I sing what I mean and I bring it to the mad light, ain't got time to kill, I got time to feel, I took the red pill, I know life's short so I wanna live real, but how's it supposed to feel? How's it supposed to feel? How's it supposed to feel? They wanna say my name, but they holding back. They wanna say they hate, but they know it's cap. I ain't play no games, I just do that's fact. And I don't feel no shame, it's a mood you lack. I go crazy, nah bitch I ain't lazy. Track after track, I work on this shit daily. Pass me the jack, right as fuel, got me hazy. About to unpack all these things I've been chasing. I've got visions in my head, like memories after death. To be a legend instead of something you can forget. I'm living up every breath, I'd rather lead than be led. I'll fill the seeds as I spread with every word that I've said. How's it supposed to feel? How's it supposed to feel?
Hey guys, how you going? Can you hear me okay? Can you hear me okay? Please let me know. I need to know. It looked all right on screen, so I just want to make sure it's okay. So I'll wait a sec. Much better? Okay, good stuff. Oh my goodness. Okay. Let me just remove that and we're going to, where did my avatar go? Oh, it's gone. Okay. Excellent. Good stuff. Okay. What happened was the plumbers came out and looks like they're getting quotes to fix the plumbing, which may mean tearing a few trees down. Oh, that's going to cost them a fortune. I don't know. But anyway, I haven't heard anything yet. And the chickens, they're getting, the little one that just isn't herself is starting to get a little bit better. It sounds better than normal, much louder. Oh, wow. Hey, Del. Hey, Alex. Hey, Paul. How you going? Sherry, how you going? George, how you going? Good to see you guys. Thank you so much. Oh, wow. Okay. Well, maybe we might have to do, I might have to reset the OBS, the microphone, like undo it from the computer and redo it in or something, or change the little connection because it's a, I don't know if you know what a USB-C is. It's the one that you plug into your Android phone. Well, that's what connection this microphone has, except my computer doesn't have any USB-Cs. Mine only has USB-As, the normal ones, the old style USB. So I have to use a little connector. So that's probably why that happened. Okay, and my cat scratched me across the nose last night. She thought I was playing while I was sleeping, and I woke with a bit of a start. After she scratched my nose, it was bleeding. I could feel the blood running down my face. I'm like, no, why did you do this? She was playing. She thought I was hiding under the blankets as a plaything, as, in playing, but I was actually hiding under there to stop her from, she normally scratches at my bed to get under the covers, and she doesn't really want under there. She only wants under there for a minute or two, and then she goes back out again. I don't know what she's doing. Anyway, cats and everyone, how you going, Timmy? Good to see you. Right, I'm on StreamYard today, which is very different than Streamlabs, but my mic went out. So, yeah, we have to do it on StreamYard today. Let's go. Okay, into the news. Enough of me. Donald Trump Jr. said, oh, my God, it's so bad what's been happening to our country and your money. Breaking. Musk says there are people over 150 years old collecting Social Security. I think they're probably dead is my guess, or they should be very famous. One of the two. Who said, did Elon say that? A sense of humor. Hang on.
There's crazy things like just cursory examination of Social Security, and we've got people in there that are 150 years old. Now, do you know anyone that's 150? I don't. Okay. They should be on the Guinness Book of World Records. They're missing out. So, that's a case where, I think they're probably dead. It's my guess. Or they should be very famous. One of the two. There's crazy things like just.
Yep, he said it. Oh, man, Lefty said Alabama residents are receiving a $100 surcharge on their energy bills. They receive letters informing them that their account has been debited $100 because one of Trump's executive orders froze a grant that assists low-income residents with their energy bills. Is that right? There you go. Anyway, I don't know. Take everything with a grain of salt. Nothing is, everyone's innocent until proven guilty in a court of law, and everything is theory until proven otherwise. Stephanie Tyler said, this shit goes so hard, I was quadruple checking to make sure it wasn't AI generated or altered. At 1:30, he says, I commend Elon. He doesn't have to be doing this, and he's abused by you people daily. Laugh my fucking ass off. He also said something to the effect of, if any reporter still thinks of any of these fraudulent entities should be receiving dollars after he shares the details tomorrow, you should probably just leave because you're not very talented. Let him cook. Let's have a listen.
Considering exemption, talk about widespread fraud and abuse.
Oh, yeah. Tremendous fraud. There's tremendous fraud. And it's hard to believe that you can have that kind of fraud. You're talking about are you talking about what? Wait. Which are you talking? You're talking about with regard to all of the investigations that are going on about this stupidity. What we're going to do is tomorrow I'm having a news conference. I'm going to read to you some of the names that hundreds of millions and even billions of dollars have been given to. And if you tell me that we should be giving money to those things, those entities, I think you'll probably have to leave as a reporter because you're not very talented. When you look at the kind of money, billions and billions of dollars being thrown away illegally, and there's no chance. I mean, I say it in front of our Attorney General, there's no chance that there's not kickbacks or something going on. When you give millions and millions of dollars to somebody that stands to look at something for 15 minutes and walks away with millions of dollars, that money's coming back in some form. And that's only one form of corruption. The biggest thing is what they do to our country. They're taking massive amounts of money and spending it on items. I went through a list of 200 expenditures that were made, and I found 3 that looked like they were reasonable. Okay, 3. And we'll be talking about that tomorrow. We have a lot of stuff. And I want to commend Elon because he's done he doesn't need this. He's abused by you people every day. He's found more things than anybody could find. I think he's got the credibility to do it. I know he does. And it's his group of people. They started off with 12. I call them 12 geniuses. They started off with 12 and they went to 20 and 25, and now they're up to almost 100. People are joining to help them because there's a massive fraud that's taken place.
There you go.
That's how I'm considering exemption talk.
Sorry, guys. Okay, let's go to the next post. Autism Capital said reporter D.O.G.E workers arrived at the IRS today. Do you expect to close the IRS? Lutnick said Sunday. Trump said, I think the IRS will be looked at just like everybody else. Everyone will be looked at. They're doing a hell of a job. Elon's building a force of super geniuses. They go talk to the people about their deals and the people get tongue-tied. They can't even talk because these people get it. They're very smart people and we need smart people. There you go. Dan Scavino said coming soon. And I think that was supposed to be a press conference. And but I don't know what's happening here. Awakened Outlaw said, does anyone know why Trump's Oval Office presser today isn't being broadcast live? We're currently waiting to watch a recording when it's finished. I don't know. Who's editing what? Is someone editing them? Okay, Libs of TikTok said key takeaways from Trump's press conferences. We'll be looking at the IRS. Car tariffs are coming soon. Would love to have Russia back in G7. Elon Musk's D.O.G.E is doing a great job. Deadline to ban TikTok could be extended. Taiwan took our chip business. We want it back. Not concerned about countries shifting business to China. Wants talks on military spending cuts with Russia and China. No need for producing or stockpiling new nuclear weapons. BRICS nations playing with the dollar could face 100% plus tariffs. There you go. Mate said, I don't recognise my country anymore. Anyone else feel the same? Australia was killed by mass immigration. R.I.P. Australia. Yeah, come on, Trump. Come on. D.O.G.E. Someone, anyone. Bueller. Okay, Lozzie B said, what about the 250,000 babies taken off single Australian mothers by the Australian government from 1945 to 1970? So they don't matter because most were white and not Aboriginal. Single mothers were coerced, blackmailed, drugged, and illegally had their consent taken away. Forced adoption in Australia was the practice of taking babies from unmarried mothers against their will and placing them up for adoption, known as child trafficking. Mothers weren't even allowed to see or hold their newborn babies before they were snatched away. In 2012, the Australian Senate inquiry report into forced adoption practices found that babies were taken illegally by doctors, nurses, social workers, and religious figures, sometimes with the assistance of adoption agencies or other authorities, and adopted to married couples. Albo MP, do these women matter or are they not diverse enough? Albanese said generations were stolen. Children were told they were unloved by their parents. They were punished for using their own names and language. And it happened here in Australia within living memory. 17 years ago, Kevin Rudd delivered the apology to the stolen generations, which did absolutely nothing. Today, we remember and we commit to a country to heal and to act together. We're making every effort, partnering with local communities to close the gap. We're building more houses, delivering healthcare, and making sure food is affordable in remote Aboriginal communities. Bullshit, you are. You can do more and you will. No, you could do a lot more. Stop taking the money for a start. But what about all this? What about all these babies? They don't matter because they're white. Okay, it's only whatever can divide and conquer. Lewis says, RFK Jr. says every senator who voted no must take, this is a joke, I believe, must take all 72 vaccine doses in the CDC schedule. I do believe this is a joke, isn't it? RFK Jr. first rule of order as HHS secretary will be mandate senators who voted no on his confirmation to take all 72 doses. I'd like to see it. I would love to see it. Hey, Zal. Hey, Stu. Hey, Menacing Muskrat. What else we got? Ego Shredder. I think I've said hello to everyone so far. I hope I have. Zal. I think I said hello. Okay. Elon Musk said, what if I get EDS too? Zuby said, we've collectively suffered through TDS for 10 years, and now we must also suffer through EDS. Elon derangement syndrome. As if TDS wasn't bad enough and sad enough. Now we've got EDS. Elon Musk said, why do they keep wanting to fund the National Endowment for Bureaucracy? Because they are trying to protect their bureaucracy. Because Victoria Newland's on the board of directors for NED. Newland was Joe Biden's Deputy Secretary of State at the US Department of State. Newland's a warmonger. She's married to Robert Kagan of the Washington Post, who wrote an article that opened call for the assassination of Donald Trump by saying that Trump was a dictator who needed the same fate as Julius Caesar. Newland has been involved in many colour revolutions. They use NED for promoting regime change. There you go. Ambassador Victoria Newland, a US diplomat for 35 years. Newland served 6 US presidents and 10 secretaries of state, both political parties, and holds the rank of career ambassador. Veteran US diplomat ambassador Victoria Newland is joining the National Endowment for Democracy, NED. Board of directors effective immediately. There you go. And Washington Post opinion, a Trump dictatorship is increasingly inevitable. We should stop pretending. Okay. There you go. Interesting. They were both interesting, actually. Yeah, it's not, when they say democracy, it's bureaucracy they mean. Okay, now this bloody lunatic. Do we have to? Yeah, we do. Clown Down Under said Senator Jackie Lambie has clearly lost her mind. Listen to this Fruit Loop. Fruitcake? I was going to say fruitcake and Fruit Loop at the same time. I don't know how that came out just then, but anyway. Okay. Let's listen to what this bright spark has to say.
So if Trump wants to play with Australia, I suggest you start getting your cowboy hats on and start playing. Because quite seriously, we are worth a hell of a lot more than what they are to us. They need us.
Bullshit.
So you stand on him and tell him we're not playing this tariff game, mate. So if Trump wants...
Oh, my God. She's an idiot. Oh, my God. We don't need the US. Oh, my God. What happens if we go to war with China? Have you ever thought of that? Our military is nowhere near capable enough or big enough. My God. Oh, she reckons put your cowboy hats on, America. Come take Australia. That's what I reckon. Okay. Cat Turd says Slob Fetterman just voted no on RFK Jr. Well, he's been, he's in. Fruitcake and Fruit Loop. Okay. She is, though. She's both. She's a fruitcake and a Fruit Loop. She's fruity. Very fruity. Okay. So, yeah, so Fetterman's been flip-flopping all over the place. I agree when he said, look, I agree with him when he says something sort of normal, you know, but I don't agree with, you know, obviously someone's got something over him. Benny Johnson said, breaking, President Trump has fired all federal prosecutors appointed by Biden. Good stuff. So he should. Hey, J1, how you going? Randy, how you going? Che Bose said, is that how you say it? Che Bose? NATO told you Russia was losing, running out of tanks, missiles, men, money, and the will to fight, but they advanced on all fronts. Now they're telling you Russia's vast military and armaments machine, which they said didn't exist, means Russia will soon attack NATO. Clown show. Let's have a listen.
Let me not comment on every thing coming out of the intelligence community, which I take very seriously. And in this case, what comes out of the Danish intelligence community. But it is, of course, we have to take note of this. But let me bring it back to what I said before. And that is that at the moment, if Putin would attack NATO, the reaction will be devastating. He will lose. So let him not try it. And he knows this. The deterrence and defense is very strong. What we have to make sure of is that 4 or 5 years from now, given his speed of ramping up his defense industry production and all the other stuff, but also look at what China is doing in having 1,000 nuclear warheads by 2030. Let me not comment.
This is what you call propaganda, and it was putting me to sleep. Holy shit. That is what you call propaganda. If you ever want to see propaganda, that's it. Okay, George said, breaking. The Senate Judiciary Committee just voted 12-10 to approve Kash Patel for FBI director. The vote will now go before the full Senate. Kash is coming. Go, go, go. This is the biggest one. Kash Patel as FBI director is the biggest hit to them. Okay. Oh, I can't wait for Kash Patel to get in there. Robert F. Kennedy Jr. said, Maha today, are you ready? Good morning, because he's been confirmed. Okay. Robert F. So it's all going to start coming out like, oh my, as if it isn't coming out fast enough now. It's going to keep going. Okay. DC Drano said, a Kennedy is back in the White House. I repeat, a Kennedy is back in the White House and Republicans put him there. 2025 is wild. Well, it has been so far. I feel like I'm on a roller coaster and it ain't stopping. Beer drinking army vet said, I want RFK Jr.'s first official act to be to ban pharmaceutical advertisements from TV. Then Big Pharma won't be able to sponsor news networks to push their poisons. It's this person's opinion only. Always see your doctor. Okay? If pain persists, see your doctor. Elon Musk said, congratulations, Robert Kennedy Jr. So I put all these in before I realised that, he's been put in. Okay, cool. Yeah. Colin Ruggs said, new NYC, New York City Comptroller Brad Lander whines after Elon Musk took back $80 million that the city was going to use on illegal immigrants. Says the money just disappeared from their accounts. Great. The Trump administration issued a clawback after FEMA officials sent tens of millions of dollars to the city for illegal immigrants. This is highway robbery. This is the federal government having already allocated, authorized, awarded, invoice, and paid $80 million to the city of New York, and then Elon Musk with no legal authority seizing it back. That's what he's saying, okay? Okay, do we really want to hear him?
This is highway robbery. This is the federal government having already allocated, authorized, awarded, invoiced, and paid $80.5 million to the city of New York. And then Elon Musk, with no legal authority, seizing it back. This is highway robbery. This is the federal government have.
Oh, God, I can't. Did I play that twice? Okay, I don't know. Christy Nome said, I've clawed back the full payment that FEMA deep state activists unilaterally gave to New York City migrant hotels. FEMA was funding the Roosevelt Hotel that serves as a trendy, I don't know how to say that. Oh, dear God. Base of operations and was used to house Lake and Riley's killer. Mark my words, there will not be a single penny spent that goes against the interest and safety of the American people. Matt Gates said, great work. Okay, have Snowball Choo Choo said, maybe study up on PSYOPs. It goes beyond entrapment. It's an orchestrated operation that intends to influence and persuade groups on how they react to issues. So much emotion, so little logic or critical thinking that is going on. If you think that an Israeli troll happened to randomly select two hotheads from a Bankstown, predominantly Muslim hospital, then the joke's on you. This is an absolutely a propaganda piece that's being milked more than the cows on a dairy farm. Total psyops from woe to go. One example of psyops is propaganda, a type of communication or advertisement that aims to influence a targeted group's way of thinking or decision-making. Ultimately, the goal of a propaganda campaign is to compel a population to take action in line with a specific message by introducing influential information. Yeah, I don't know. It is. Like, I believe it is. I do believe. But you got the other side who totally is believing it, okay? So, I don't know. I'm in the middle here. I'm thinking it is a psyop, definitely, actually. Because when you look at it and how quick it took off and how it all happened, yeah, it's a bit, I don't know, it's a bit strange. Leading reporter said, breaking, AG Pam Bondi has filed charges against New York Governor Kathy Hochul and New York AG Letitia James. Oh, my goodness. Keep going, guys. Tired of being politically correct. Oh, you're not the only one. I blew up the barcodes and checked them. It's not medication. Senator Chris Coons says $300 million worth of medications are sitting on pallets about to expire thanks to Trump's effort to put gut foreign aid. These drugs would have prevented people from going blind from a preventable tropical disease. Donald Trump would rather waste them in an East African warehouse. Well, apparently, this person blew up the barcodes and checked them, and it's not medication. So there you go. They're really trying to get to make Trump look bad, aren't they? Yeah, we'll wait till RFK Jr. starts. He's going to make America healthy again. You know, this is going to start going around the world. The whole lot of it, everything that happens there, eventually goes around the world. So we're going to see this start happening everywhere. X22 said President Trump will disclose the identities of individuals who are defrauding American taxpayers at a press conference tomorrow. Who's Trump going to mention first? Oh, he's probably having a press conference right while I'm making a video. Hey, Paranormal Oz, how you going? Good to see you. Okay, George said breaking mass firings have begun at federal agencies. President Trump is reportedly firing dozens of employees at the Department of Education and the Small Business Administration. Employees at the Department of Education received an email saying the agency finds based on your performance that you have not demonstrated that your further employment at the agency would be in the public interest. The firings have impacted employees. Oh, what's going on? Oh, my goodness. Come on, man. The firings have impacted employees across the department, from the General Counsel's Office to the Office of Special Education and Rehabilitation Services to the Federal Student Aid Office. Wow, this man means business. Yeah, my computer's doing something weird, guys. I think I've got to run a full scan on my computer. Have a snowball choo-choo, said fact checker. It's one big psyop. We got them. Influencer details mission to expose health workers. The Israeli influencer who exposed the vile tirade of 2 Sydney nurses says their comments have left them wondering who he can trust, describing the rising tide of anti-Semitism in Australia as insane. Well, that's what happens when you import too many people who hate you. What else do we think would happen? Like, people don't trust, obviously, but not every Jew is or Israeli is, a bad person. Not all of them. Oh, I don't know how many of them, but not all of them, surely. There's good people and bad people in every, what do you call it? You all said it wasn't a race, it's a religion. Okay, well, there's good and bad in all. Daniel said, looks like Albo MP now faces a huge dilemma. Recent anti-Semitic threats by Muslims may meet the threshold for newly introduced and controversial hate laws. I imagine the intent was to publicly lock someone up statistically insignificant neo-Nazis to prove that the government was finally doing something about anti-Semitism. A day late and $1 short, a day late, $1 short, having done nothing much since the Opera House disgrace. But then something else happened. Albanese needs to decide whether he's serious, at the risk of burning large sections of the Islamic community, and needs to do so or not now before the election. State Labor also need to put a broom through the New South Wales health system, and it's got nothing to do with wages or waiting times. This backfired on them. Whoever did this psyop, it's backfired on Albanese. Okay, and then we got this one. How long have I been going for? Where is my time? There, 29 minutes. Cool. 17 Absolutely Redux 76 said, thread, the stage is being set. Number 1, the Insurrection Act is a topic which has been discussed time and time again in this movement. I'd hazard a guess that back in 2017, not many of us knew very much about it, if anything at all. Sure, many of us probably heard about it in passing or from some past instances of it being declared. The LA riots in 1992 as an example. At the same time, I seriously doubt many of us understood exactly what it is. Now, how powerful a tool can it be for a president? Nor how powerful a tool it can be for a president. In this article, I'm going to do my best to explain the Insurrection Act as well as the 14th Amendment. I'm also going to take a look at their implications and the many signs and comms I've seen that may very well be a telling of things still to come. The first thing I want to do is dive into the Insurrection Act and hopefully do it justice in explaining what it is and when, how, why it can be enacted and implemented. In short, the Insurrection Act is a federal law that allows the president to utilize the military as well as the National Guard within the United States to suppress a perceived insurrection or rebellion. Under the Posse Comitatus Act, the US military is extremely reduced in its capacity to police its own citizens. The Insurrection Act provides a statutory exemption from the Posse Comitatus Act, meaning the US military can be used to police its own populace. Now, many pundits and the uneducated will make the argument that the president requires state approval to declare the Insurrection Act. This is simply not true as seen below. It is laid out pretty clearly that the president does not need state approval to declare the Insurrection Act. The president can and has declared the Insurrection Act on numerous occasions. Stands a request from the state itself. Here are a few examples. Andrew Jackson invoked the Insurrection Act in 1831 to put down a slave rebellion by Nat Turner, and again in 1834 to settle a labour dispute by workers of the Chesapeake and Ohio Canal. Ulysses S. Grant invoked it several times, most notably for the suppression of the KKK in 1871, and again used it to quell unrest after the contested gubernatorial election in Louisiana in 1872. Rutherford B. Hayes invoked it in 1878 in the famous Lincoln County War, which of course involved the infamous Billy the Kid. Tensions brought forth by the Pullman Strike of 1894 forced Grover Cleveland to invoke the Act, and again in 1914 during what became known as the Great Coalfield War, when President Wilson invoked the Insurrection Act to suppress that uprising. In 1943, FDR used it to suppress the Detroit race riots. Eisenhower used it in order to protect the Little Rock Nine, and even JFK used it multiple times, mostly to quell racial tensions and unrest, and to force desegregation in Alabama schools in 1963. Lyndon B. Johnson enacted it on 4 separate occasions. In 1967, he used it to quell racial tensions in Detroit. He used it 3 separate times in 1968 in D.C., Chicago, and Baltimore to suppress riots and outrage after MLK Jr.'s assassination. The most recent instance that it was utilised was in 1992 when George H.W. Bush declared it to suppress the LA riots. I remember them. George W. Bush contemplated invoking it in New Orleans after Katrina, but ultimately decided not to. Do you know what all those have in common? In not one instance was the state notified or asked for permission, because the belief that this must be done is a fallacy, plain and simple. If the commander-in-chief deems that there is an insurrection or rebellion taking place, they can declare the Insurrection Act and send in the military. Basically, it is not as rare of an occurrence as this in this country as many MSM talking heads would lead you to believe. There you go. And the constitutional authorities of that state are unable, fail, or refuse to protect that right. Oh, and the constituted authorities, opposes or obstructs the execution of the laws of the United States or impedes the course of justice under those laws. Do those sound at all familiar? No? Let's review some current news to put it in context. There are but a small example of federal judges utilising their position on the bench to usurp the constitutional executive orders and mandates being handed down by the Trump administration. I shouldn't have to say it, but this is highly illegal and unconstitutional. Judges do not get to legislate from the bench. What we are seeing here are entrenched infiltrators activating in a last-ditch attempt to throw President Trump's America First vision out the window. Are these instances enough to invoke the Insurrection Act? Probably not, but it also bears mentioning that I doubt Trump hasn't taken note. Nor do I think he's failed to take notice of the growing number of judges, mayors, and governors who are openly disputing or outright ignoring his EOs or mandates. In this photo, we see the lovely Alina Habba, but she isn't the point of this photo. Sorry, Alina. My focus here is on the portraits adorning the wall of the Oval Office, one of Abraham Lincoln and the other of Andrew Jackson. Now, of course, we know the mettle of both of these men. Lincoln freed the slaves and Andrew Jackson fought back against the bankers. But what else did these two men have in common? They both invoked the Insurrection Act. President Trump has mentioned both of these gentlemen more times than I can recall. Here's just one such clip of him speaking about Andrew Jackson.
He launched a campaign to sweep out government corruption. Totally. He didn't want government corruption. He expanded benefits for veterans. He battled the centralized financial power that brought influence at our citizens' expense. He imposed tariffs on foreign countries to protect American workers. That sounds very familiar. Wait till you see what's going to be happening pretty soon, folks. It's time.
Yep, it's time.
It's time.
Yep.
Andrew Jackson was called many names, accused of many things, and by fighting for change, earned many, many enemies. Today, the portrait of this orphan son who rose to the presidency hangs proudly in the Oval Office opposite the portrait of another great American, Thomas Jefferson. I brought the Andrew Jackson portrait there. Right behind me, right, boom, over my left shoulder. Now I'm honored to sit between those two portraits and to use this high office to serve, defend, and protect the citizens of the United States. It is my great honor, I will tell you that.
There you go. And there are the photos, okay? Lincoln and Jackson. Is that right? Lincoln and Jackson? Yep, I got it right. Oh, my God, I got it right. Wow. 5, that clip is pretty full of signal to me as he discussed the attacks Jackson took while dismantling his very own deep state. As we look into the Insurrection Act even more, this section also tells us that states, in fact, can also request that the Insurrection Act be invoked. This, however, does not mean the president is unable to declare the act without their consent. He can. And as I've shown above, presidents have absolutely done so. In the second graphic, we see the president must make a declaration to the belligerent parties to disperse before the Insurrection Act is declared. However, let it be noted that this does not need to be a public declaration. Nowhere in the Insurrection Act is it said that the president must make such a request in a public forum. It could be something as simple as a memo, a phone call, or a letter carried by a damn pigeon. I want to take a quick moment to pause and make it abundantly clear that I'm not positing that the Insurrection Act has been declared. What I am doing, however, is going about building the case that it's coming and that we are witnessing the stage being set for it. Many of us thought it would come in 2020 or maybe after J6, but to the best of our knowledge, that did not happen. I'm sure by now you're asking how is it possible that that guy hasn't mentioned the board yet. Don't worry, I will. Now I want to pivot towards the 14th Amendment because it plays a big vital role as well. And much like the Insurrection Act, it's something which has been all over the narrative for the past couple of years. Let's go ahead and take a look at a small sample size of exactly how these two things, the Insurrection Act and the 14th Amendment, have been injected into the narrative. First, we'll begin with just a couple of clips highlighting deep state panic over the prospect of the Insurrection Act being invoked. In this first clip, we see Senator Blumenthal panic explain why he was putting forth legislation which would attempt to drastically alter the Insurrection Act. In the next clip, Representative Garamendi screeches about the prospect of President Trump using the Insurrection Act during a congressional hearing. And last but not least, we have President Biden, or Resident Biden, sorry, coming very close to soiling himself, which he probably did, with his panic over the very same prospect of President Trump using the Insurrection Act. Let's have a look.
In the case of the Department of Justice, if there are orders to troops,
the Department of Defense,
to shoot in case of a protest or a gathering in a church basement or any kind of meeting, there is no restraint of the same kind. And so what this kind of threat represents is something profoundly dangerous to our democracy. And that's why I have actually proposed a measure that would constrain the Insurrection Act, which is the legal basis for the president to order this kind of military intervention on American soil. And remember, we use the military to defend our nation. We do not use it against our own citizens on American soil. And that's the basis of our constitutional principle and also the Insurrection Act. Unfortunately, the Insurrection Act is so broad that he could misinterpret it. It's not just about Donald Trump. It's a weakness in our present law. It could be misused by an independent or a Democrat in that same office. We ought to move to correct it. But right now, we can see the fire on the horizon, and we ought to do something about it, because I think our Republican colleagues ultimately will be judged harshly by history if we fail to do so. And so I think this concern about the misuse of the military also deeply concerns our military.
That he would use the government to suppress speech, which presumably is what you were arguing for, free speech. You said very clearly that he would do so. In fact, he's reportedly planning to use the Insurrection Act, a law that gives the president nearly unchecked power to use military as a domestic police force to target those who publicly protest against him, presumably using their free speech rights in the Constitution. Much of this seems to be coming from an organization here in Washington, a think tank that's put together a program called Project 2025.
Oh, it's all been proven to be bullshit, mate. Anyway, I'm not listening to any more of his shit.
This coming from a president who called, when he visited cemeteries, called dead soldiers suckers and losers. Remember that?
Biden clenching his teeth there. It didn't happen, mate. Only happened in your mind. Okay. I always try to circle back to the why. Why are all these people all of a sudden coming out of the woodwork with vain attempts at subverting or getting rid of the Insurrection Act? And these are but a small sampling of the clips and articles you can find with a simple Google search that will show you that these people are absolutely terrified of the Insurrection Act. So I ask, why? Let's see if we can figure out what all the panic is really about. I think that some of it also has to do with the 14th Amendment, which we also have seen enter the public narrative, especially over the past year. One of President Trump's first executive orders was to revoke birthright citizenship for those born to illegal immigrants. This, of course, is tied to the 14th Amendment, an amendment which they have utilized a loophole in which they can bring in millions of illegals in order to give them the vote in order to steal the elections and gain complete control of the country. President Trump put the brakes on that. Another way in which we saw the 14th Amendment weaponized against President Trump was in the left's weak attempt to keep him off the ballot. Many states attempted to use the 14th Amendment to remove President Trump from the 2024 presidential ballot. Along with Colorado, Arizona, California, Maine, Michigan, Minnesota, and Rhode Island, all tried to use the 14th Amendment to keep President Trump off the ballot. We also have part of an article from The Hill pushing for the usage of the 14th Amendment to keep President Trump from taking office. And last but not least, we have Jamie Ratskin screeching about using said amendment to keep from certifying the election. And that was that. I've played that ages ago. Okay. Do you guys know who else they tried to remove from the ballot? Abraham Lincoln. For posterity, here is Section 3 of the 14th Amendment. Yes, it's pretty clear that if a sworn official or representative of either the United States or any state has taken part in an insurrection or rebellion against the United States, that they shall not be afforded the privilege of serving their country any longer. The thing is, they never came close to proving that President Trump did this on J6 or at any other time in his presidency. As a matter of fact, they fabricated evidence, hid evidence that would have immediately exonerated him, and proceeded to keep the circus going for far too long at the taxpayers' expense. Or did I mention that 1,500 patriots were locked up for 4 years because of this hoax? We now know that President Trump ordered as many as 20,000 National Guard into D.C. for J6, and we also know he was rebuffed by both Mayor Bowser and Speaker Pelosi. We've seen the videos of Capitol Police officers flat out saying they were set up. We've seen the video of Ray Epps and other infiltrators disguised as MAGA. We've seen videos of Capitol Police officers opening doors and showing people around, people whom shortly afterwards would find themselves in prison for merely walking around within the boundaries of the velvet ropes. It was all a lie, and it was all perpetrated by the very same people crying about the Insurrection Act. Do you see what I'm getting at? They are the ones who took part in the insurrection and coup, not President Trump. And maybe that's why they are so panicked about it, because perhaps they realize that they've been caught. That in this boomerang, when this boomerang comes back around, not only will they be exposed, but they'll also know that even if one of them is charged with the crime of rebelling against the United States, that their entire spider web will crumble. You have to think of how many state and local officials were involved, especially back to 2020. If Section 3 were applied to these people, it would immediately remove a very large swath of the entrenched enemy out of the government. Not only that, it would also keep these people from ever running for office again. Moving on, things at the moment are moving fast and fairly chaotic. At the same time, we're seeing situations that fit within what we know is required, outlined above, to invoke the Insurrection Act. I outlined just a few of the rogue judges up above, and again, they are but a couple that not only have we seen recently, but also over the past 8 years, becoming increasingly obvious that far too many federal and local judges are corrupt, and at this point completely willing to go against the President of the United States. Engoron and Macron come to mind here as well. So that could be one aspect. Another is ever-growing potential for protests to begin growing from the immigration and deportation situation. We have certainly seen protests, particularly in LA, but as we currently sit, they have yet to bubble up to the point of requiring the military. That said, I personally believe we'll see these protests ramp up. Either that or we're going to begin to see protests arising regarding the situation in Israel and President Trump's stance regarding said situation. What is most interesting to me with all of this is that we literally have the United States military operational on its own soil right now. And that happened through President Trump declaring a national emergency at the border due to the invasion of illegals. There's a super interesting tidbit buried in that executive order as well. Have a look at this. Is that what they're saying? So within 90 days, a decision will have to be made on whether or not the border is secure. If it isn't, then the Insurrection Act will be considered as a means to secure it. We have some interesting wording from Tom Homan regarding the border, as well as the potential of Mexican drug cartels attacking troops or members of Customs and Border Control. Have a listen.
So let me ask you about the cartels. They've made a clear warning to you and to the United States that, we're going to escalate our violence. So now we're seeing not only Mexican troops after this deal that Trump made with Mexico's president, and also U.S. troops headed to the border. How are you going to utilize the military? We know what the military can and can't do domestically, but in a scenario like this, how do you plan on using the military? Could they get involved in the violence if the cartels strike?
Yes. And we expect them to. But the Mexican military, President Trump's able to get Mexico, put military on their northern border. That will certainly help. I think the cartels would be foolish to take on the military, but we know they've taken on the Mexican military before. But now we have the United States military on the border. We got the men and women of the Border Patrol. Do I expect violence to escalate? Absolutely, because the cartels are making record amounts of money. They're making record amounts of money in alien smuggling and trafficking of women and children and drugs. However, as we secure the border, which we've gone long ways to secure the border, crossings are down like 76%. We're taking money out of their pocket. They're not going away quietly, and that's why President Trump designated them terrorist organizations. I would send a warning to them. You heard a Border Patrol lady, you heard a soldier. The wrath of President Trump's going to come down.
Does that mean the military, our troops, U.S. military at the border with weapons, using weapons if need be?
They need to protect themselves. But the cartels, again, let me give the cartels a warning. If you harm a Border Patrol agent or a soldier, the whole world's going to come down to you. President Trump is a strong president. He is strong enough, and he has the ability to wipe them off the face of the earth. Now, that's the reason they were called terrorist organizations, designated terrorist organizations, because they've killed more Americans with their fentanyl, their drugs, than any terrorist organization in the world. They are now designated terrorists. Do not harm our troops, or President Trump will bring hell rain down, and he has the ability to wipe them off the face of the earth. They can claim they're a pretty tough organization, the cartels, and they are, but they're not stronger than the power of President Trump.
There you go. Within 90 days of the date of this proclamation, the Secretary of Defense and the Secretary of Homeland Security shall submit a joint report to the President about the conditions at the southern border of the U.S. and any recommendations regarding additional actions that may be necessary to obtain complete operational control of the southern border, including whether to invoke the Insurrection Act of 1807. And Zal, I agree with you. Those cartels are not just working for themselves, they're working for something deeper than that. They're working for the deep state. Okay, he makes it very clear that President Trump will use the military and that the military will not accept being fired upon or kept from their goal. Even if you apply double meanings to this, it could also have been a warning to the deep state to not cross the line. We'll see what happens. But to me, it seems as if the line in the sand has been drawn, and that should protests or any of the southern border situation become out of control, that the Insurrection Act will be invoked. I also find it of note that President Trump used the very same phrase shortly after Tom Homan did. I don't believe it to be coincidence that the phrase "hell will rain down" has entered the narrative. Psst, it's also going to be important to keep Drop 22 in mind for this article. Who controls the National Guard? Why was the National Guard recently activated in select cities within the US? Can the National Guard work in coordination with the Marines? Do conditions need to be satisfied to authorize? What former president used the military to save the Republic, and what occurred exactly? Biggest drop to ever be provided on poll. Study and prepare. The masses tend to panic in such situations. No war, no civil unrest, clean and swift. Now,
should the ceasefire then be off?
Well, I would say this, and I'm going to let that because that's Israel's decision. But as far as I'm concerned, if all of the hostages aren't returned by Saturday at 12 o'clock, I think it's an appropriate time. I would say cancel it and all bets are off and let hell break out. I'd say they ought to be returned by 12 o'clock on Saturday. And if they're not returned, all of them, not in drips and drabs, not 2 and 1 and 3 and 4 and 2. Saturday at 12 o'clock. And after that, I would say all hell is going to break out.
Should the ceasefire then?
There you go. Sidebar, if you're a fan of predictive programming, have a look at these clips, both from the Paramount Plus show Landman. In his first clip, we see a meeting between an oil CEO and his landman and the governor of Texas about acquiring the National Guard's help in protecting their oil fields from the drug cartels. If you've not watched the show, maybe skip the second clip as it's chock full of spoilers. We won't be playing either one here, unfortunately, because YouTube will censor it. So, if you've not, so here we have the most popular show of the winter, openly putting into the narrative the usage of the National Guard to combat drug cartels. But what other potential signs are potentially pointed towards just such an outcome? Plenty, as it turns out. Let's go back to President Trump's first term, which he spoke an awful lot about Article 2 of the Constitution. Article 2 or 11? 2. Article 2 is arguably one of the most important articles in the entire Constitution. The section I want to focus on is Section 2 of Article 2. The highlighted section is known as the Commander-in-Chief Clause, and basically as long as their actions are legal and constitutional, they can in fact wield a whole lot of power as it pertains to the military, especially if the nation was under a national emergency, such as we saw during COVID, and like we have now with the national emergency declared at the southern border. Remember what President Trump said during COVID? I'm a wartime president. Thing is, we weren't involved in any active conflicts at that time, so why did he say it? But wait, someone else said a very, very similar line not more than a few months ago, Speaker Mike Johnson. How exactly is Mike Johnson a wartime speaker? Again, we're not involved in any active conflicts. In the below graphic, the top highlighted section is just reinforcing what I've said above. The second highlighted section is spelled out plain as day that the textual interpretation of the clause is that the president can absolutely have total control over the military and its operations. So after the prior videos and graphics, can you see the potential stage being set? We were told by the board that President Trump was surrounded by generals. In drops 2 and 4, we see them draw attention to the fact that President Trump is surrounded by generals. In 14, drop which contains the famous Washington crossing the Delaware image, we also see mention of President Trump being surrounded by generals, except this time he says highly respected generals. Further down in the drop, they ask us what happens if mayor's police do not enforce the law. This falls directly under the Insurrection Act, as these people are failing their duty to uphold the rule of law and thus the Constitution. If President Trump is surrounded by highly respected generals, then it's reasonable to assume he's not joking about his power and control over the military and his ability to take down his enemies using his powers under Article 2 of the Constitution and Insurrection Act. Mockingbird, HRC, detained, not arrested yet. Where's Humour? Follow Humour. Nothing to do with Russia yet. Why does POTUS surround himself with generals? What is military intelligence? And generals is mentioned here. Some of us come here to drop crumbs, just crumbs. He's 100% insulated, POTUS is. Any discussion suggesting he's a target is false. He will not be addressing the nation on these issues as people begin to be indicted. He must remain neutral for pure optical reasons. Blah, blah, blah. Why is POTUS surrounded by generals? Again, there are a lot more good people than bad, so have faith. This was a hostile takeover from an evil, corrupt network of players, not just Democrats. Not just Democrats. The Delaware picture. Washington crossing the Delaware. Durham boat. SCIF, military intelligence. What is state secrets and how upheld in the SC? What must be completed to engage military over other three-letter agencies? What must occur for civilian trials? Why is this relevant? What was Flynn's background? Why is this relevant? Why did Adamar NSA meet Trump privately? Who authorized it? Does POTUS know where the bodies are buried? Does POTUS have the goods on most bad actors? Was Trump asked to run for president? Why? By who? Why is POTUS surrounded by highly respected generals? What happens if mayors and police don't enforce the law? There you go. Okay. How is POTUS always 5 steps ahead? Who's helping him? Okay. And that's the other thing. Okay. Along with his affinity towards Andrew Jackson, which I touched upon above, President Trump and nearly everyone in his circle are even more keen on Abraham Lincoln. Here we see 2 examples of President Trump reposting a picture of him looking at a portrait of Abraham Lincoln. We also see a post from John Solomon with Biden and yet another portrait of Abraham Lincoln in the background. I included that because John Solomon is one of few journalists that the board pointed out as being trustworthy. We also have a couple of examples from Dan Scavino of the Lincoln and Jackson comms. Here's a small sampling of President Trump speaking about Abraham Lincoln. And trust me, this is seriously a very small sample size of how often President Trump has talked about Lincoln. And for good measure, here he is saying that J.D. Vance looks like a young Abraham Lincoln as well.
The Civil War was so fascinating, so horrible. It was so horrible, but so fascinating. It was, I don't know, it was just different. I just find it, I'm so attracted to seeing it. So many mistakes were made. See, there was something I think could have been negotiated, to be honest with you. I think you could have negotiated that. All the people died. So many people died. You know, that was the disaster. If you got hit by a bullet in the leg, you were essentially going to die or lose the leg. That's why you had so many people, no legs, no arms. If you got hit in the arm or the leg, it meant you were up because the infection, gangrene. It was just such a, you know, sort of a horrible time. But that's, I was thinking to myself, because I was reading something and I said, this is something that could have been negotiated. You know, it was just for all those people to die, and they died viciously. That was a vicious, vicious war. And in many ways, look, they're all this, nothing nice about it, but boy, that was a tough one for our country. But I think it's, you know, Abraham Lincoln. Of course, if you negotiated it, you probably wouldn't even know who Abraham Lincoln was. He would have been president, but he would have been president. He wouldn't have been the Abraham Lincoln. Would have been different, but that would have been okay. It would have been a thing that, and I know it very well. I know the whole process that they went through, and they just couldn't get along. And that would have been something that could have been negotiated, and they wouldn't have had that problem. But it was a hell of a time. And you think of it today, I would have absolutely stopped Putin. He would have never gone in, and he didn't. You know, for 4 years he didn't. It was never even. I am greeted with a hostile press, the likes of which no president has ever seen. The closest would be that gentleman right up there. They always said Lincoln, nobody got treated worse than Lincoln. I believe I am treated worse. You're there, you see those press conferences. They come at me with questions that are disgraceful. I am greeted with a hostile press. It's much easier, by the way, to act presidential than what we're doing here tonight. Believe me. And I said, with the exception of the late, great Abraham Lincoln, I can be more presidential than any president that's ever held this office. That I can tell you. It's real easy.
No,
facial hair
I've
bars.
never heard that one.
The thing
He
that
looks
hurts.
like a young Abraham Lincoln.
Number two,
No.
Doug Burgum on abortion in North Dakota. He signed something legislation. Does that hurt him?
Well, it's a little bit of an issue. It's a pretty strong ban. You know, I think Doug is great, but it is a strong. He's taken a very strong stance, or the state has. I don't know if it's Doug, but the state has.
Yeah.
It's an issue.
Marco Rubio and being from Florida, would that stop you from picking him?
No, but it does make it more complicated. You actually can, but they take delegates, and taking delegates is, a very risky thing to do.
And also, when you talk about a finalist for this,
Okay, that's where just at the beginning he mentioned Abraham Lincoln. Here is President Trump nearly going full verbatim on an Abraham Lincoln quote concerning our country being in dire straits, along with some more examples of those in his circle giving us nods or comms towards Lincoln. Our common country is in great peril. A country in peril.
You have a Democrat media that has called a Republican president a tyrant, a dictator, said it would be the end of the United States of America as we know it, said he would make us a laughing stock on the global stage. And those are exact quotes, actually, of what they said about Abraham Lincoln. Saw the Lincoln hat. You might have wanted me to remember that. Those were words that the Democrat-led media said about the first ever Republican president before he was shot and assassinated in 1865. So think about that in the moment that we live in today. We came within, Lincoln actually spoke at this convention. It was at a Republican convention. It was at a Republican state convention, I think in 1858, when he said a house divided cannot stand. That was on the eve of a nation that was on the brink of civil war. I think we came within a hair's breadth of a second civil war in this country, and we avoided it. And I think it's because God intervened. And I believe that he has given us a chance to answer his call.
Amen. He asked if I would take a call from the president. President Trump telephoned me a few minutes later, and I met with him the following day. A few weeks later, I met again with President Trump and his family members and close advisors in Florida. In a series of long, intense discussions, I was surprised to discover that we are aligned on many key issues. In those meetings, he suggested that we join forces as a unity party. We talked about Abraham Lincoln's team of rivals. That arrangement would allow us to disagree publicly and privately, and fiercely if need be, on issues over which we differ, while working together on the existential issues upon which we are in concordance. I was a ferocious critic of many of the policies during his first administration, and there are still issues and approaches upon which we continue to have very serious differences. But we are aligned with each other on other key issues, like ending the forever wars, ending the childhood disease epidemics, securing the border, protecting freedom of speech, unraveling the corporate capture of our regulatory agencies, getting the U.S. intelligence agencies out of the business of propagandizing and censoring and surveilling Americans and interfering with our elections.
His 1862 State of the Union address, Abraham Lincoln said, "We shall nobly save or meanly lose the last best hope of earth." Those words came just weeks after what was known as the bloodiest day in American history, the Battle of Antietam, where 23,000 Americans were slaughtered. There was weight to Lincoln's words. He was honest Abe. In
Can you guys hear that?
1941, Franklin Roosevelt articulated America's 4 essential human freedoms: freedom of speech, religion, and freedom from want and fear. FDR urged Americans to defend democracy in war-torn Europe. These presidents used their words not to scare Americans.
Okay, it's very, very low. Okay, I couldn't hear it either. That's why I'm asking. Could you guys hear? I could barely hear that. I looked at the volume. It's up full all the way. I don't like when that happens. As an added bonus, have a look at my good friend and favourite, many of you, Stormy Patriot Joe, breaking down some additional Lincoln comms from Dan Scavino. What am I driving at here? What is the point of nearly 3,500 words to this point? That I believe the nods to Lincoln have a whole lot to do with what Lincoln did to save the Republic, and the fact that the board made an extra effort to point attention toward just that. In number 22, we're asked what former president used the military to save the Republic and what occurred exactly. The answer is Abraham Lincoln, and he suspended habeas corpus and used the military to not only police its own citizens, but infiltrate the Confederacy in order to bring them down from the inside with use of spies and double agents. You can read more about Lincoln's usage of spies here. It's important to keep in mind that in order to use these spies and embed them within the Confederacy, Lincoln first had to invoke the Insurrection Act because, as it stood, the Confederate States were involved in an insurrection against the Republic. It is even more important to remember that Lincoln did that through the powers granted to the President in Article 2 of the Constitution. Lincoln found the power he needed to deal with the rebellion in the Commander-in-Chief Clause in Article 2, which requires him to see that the laws of the land are faithfully executed. It is the very oath of preserving, protecting, and defending the Constitution from enemies both foreign and domestic that enables the President to arbitrarily decide that it's time for the military to intervene. It's not only his constitutional right to enact such a provision, it's his duty. Based on these powers, Lincoln was able to call up the militia, authorize increases in the size of the Army and Navy, expand funding for military purchases, blockade ports, suspend habeas corpus, authorize arbitrary arrests, and impanel military tribunals in order to try civilians in contested or otherwise occupied areas. In number 22, the board also asks us to do conditions need to be satisfied in order to authorize this, of course, in reference to the military being used on its own soil. I've highlighted some conditions which would certainly qualify for the military to be used in multiple situations we are seeing unfold in the last graphic. What former president? Yep, okay, they do need to be met.
So on Dan Scavino's official Instagram, he's got this very interesting video where Donald Trump and Abraham Lincoln are orchestrating a tweet. Let's check it out. Try a tweet.
My fellow Americans. That solo energy, give me that.
My fellow Americans.
A sarsaparilla. How was that? Try to it.
All right, so my fellow Americans. Very interesting. Very interesting. Seeing that Lincoln, a lot of us say, is connected to these early cues as well. Coming soon. So on...
Okay. Remember above when I said the military was operational on our own soil? Not only is the National Guard at the southern border, but so are the Army and Marines, not the least of which is the 10th Mountain Division, which also was mentioned in the drops. I honestly do not find any of this to be a coincidence. Aside from Homan, as mentioned earlier, Homan, we also had Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth tell the cartels all options are on the table. Again, setting the stage for a potential show of force from our military on our own soil. We have also heard Homan and Attorney General Pam Bondi say that any local or state officials standing in the way of Trump's agenda will become felons. Again, I will circle back to whether or not the president can arbitrarily and without consent of the Congress nor public knowledge invoke the Insurrection Act and use the military on US soil? And the answer is roundly yes. Could a second-term President Donald Trump legally use the military forces to conduct domestic law enforcement activities? The simple answer is yes. For example, that 1827 Supreme Court opinion originated in the War of 1812 when the English military invaded the United States, and the law in question stated that whenever the United States shall be invaded or in imminent danger of invasion, it shall be lawful for the President to call forth the militia as he may judge necessary to repeal such invasion. Can presidents act alone in deploying the military? Many legal experts have agreed the Insurrection Act does empower US presidents to bypass Congress in deploying the regular military on American soil to intervene in cases of civil disobedience. For example, Harvard University law professor Noah Feldman has stated that the broad language of the Insurrection Act allows the use of military when necessary to prevent acts obstructing the execution of federal law to the extent that local police and National Guard can't successfully stop violence on the streets, such as rioting and looting. So let's recap before I wrap up. We have our military operating on US soil. We have a national emergency currently declared. We have pockets of protest. We have state and local officials openly defying President Trump. We have activist judges subverting the Constitution. We have the potential for a border war with cartels. In addition to all that, we also have seen President Trump withdraw from the WHO, the WEF, the Paris Accord, the UN, declassify the JFK, RFK, and MLK Jr. files, levy tariffs, on the verge of negotiating peace in both Ukraine and Israel. D.O.G.E has exposed the massive slush fund known as US aid to the world. And all of that has been in 3 weeks. So naturally, what is the mainstream media's latest talking point? A constitutional crisis, of course, because apparently exposing and cutting off deep state funding is just a bit too far. Ironically enough, while the left screeches about President Trump causing a constitutional crisis, it is actually the activist judges going against constitutional executive orders and mandates that violates the Constitution that is creating the crisis. It is the local state government refusing to comply with ICE that is causing the crisis. Just today, we saw President Trump make reference to the fraud and criminality being exposed, as well as the activist judges. Have a look at the clip below. Also, today we witnessed the beginning of a judicial war, as it were, as another federal judge came over the top of the previous one to say that the White House does, in fact, have the right to freeze funding. Okay. Can the National Guard work in coordination with the Marines? Yep, we've seen all this. Constitutional crisis. Okay, that's...
Because there's a massive fraud that's taken place. And then you have judges that are activists, and they sit there and they say, oh, as an example, $59 million going to a little small group in New York City. You get nothing going to North Carolina to help nothing. They say, we don't have any money because they've given it away on the border. But you have nothing. What they did to North Carolina is a shame. And then they sent $59 million to New York City for a hotel for a little bit of nothing. What they've done, a hotel that was not luxury, that's getting luxury rates for migrants, where they're making a fortune, and we catch them. But a judge says, well, even though it may be a fraud, you have to send the money in anyway. Send the money. I said, wait a minute. We have money that shouldn't go because we caught it before it was sent out, but they want the money to go anyway. And I think you're going to have a lot of things to look at, Pam. I really do. What's going on with this whole thing? And this is just one group.
Okay.
So clarifying that the government can limit access to federal funds on the basis of the applicable authorizing statutes, regulations, and terms. Essentially, yes, the government can do so in complying with regulations, and then that the previous order does not bar both the president and much of the federal government from exercising their own lawful authorities to withhold funding without the prior approval of the district court, meaning, again, they can disperse the monies that they were allocated within the law, within the confines of the law, and that the government does not have to seek pre-clearance from the courts on terminating funding as long as they have the authority to do it, as governed by the applicable statutory, regulatory, or grant terms. So essentially, the court is confirming what the Trump administration has maintained and what common sense can project, which is that within the confines of regulatory and normal authority, of course, you can do what you want with your own money, and you don't need a court's approval to do so.
Yep, that's
so clarifying that the government can limit access to federal funds on the basis of the applicable authorizing statutes.
Oops. I think I nearly let it play again. I've shown you that the conditions exist and have for some time for the Insurrection Act to be invoked. I've shown you comms and signs that real-world news and narrative pointing towards the very same. I've also shown you some drops which seem to be pointing towards this very period of time we're in right now. Now, of course, I have no clue what's going to happen. I track comms and events and try to gain a general idea of where we may be headed. I do believe we may very well be headed towards a fair bit of turbulence and chaos, which will require the Insurrection Act, with the border and protest situations combined with the fact that the deep state is being more exposed each and every day. I have to believe that our adversary will not just sit back and go peacefully into that good night. I believe they have one last hurrah plan, perhaps mass unrest and riots, perhaps a serious situation at the border, who knows? I'd be a bit remiss if I didn't mention the incoming March Madness deltas. There are 5 drops that mention March Madness, and this one is the most poignant to me with the mention of public will know soon. Think of all the curtains currently being yanked down. One can't help but wonder if this will become a 7-year delta. March Madness, public will know soon. Did you notice that the board is asking for the ball to be called here in Navy terms? Calling the ball references a Navy pilot essentially declaring he is good to land. Could this wind up being a future proves past? Only time will tell. But one thing's for certain, things are about as fast-paced as I have ever seen, and it certainly feels like the drip has become a flood. If you made it this far, thank you so much. Your support not only means the world to me, but also humbles me and makes me feel extremely blessed. Stay blessed, friends, and remember, never give up, no matter what. God bless you and God bless America. Where we go one, we go all. Insurrection Act of 1807. Determination that the various state and local authorities are not up to the task of responding to the growing unrest. Call the ball. Where we go on? We go on. That was long, but that was so good, guys. And that's where I'm going to stop for the day. Oh, am I? Hang on. Have I got any more? I think that was the end of it. But just let me check. Wow. Clicked a lot through this post. Got to go to where it says bookmarks. Goodness. There we go. That was really, really good. Okay, Geoloft, tag me in this. Okay, I've got to play this. Okay, ready? I'm going to make it big.
Have you been crying like a bitch over Elon Musk? Do you find yourself sobbing at the thought of your taxpayer-funded transgender basket weaving club losing its funding? You may be suffering from a common condition known as libtardism-induced meltdown. But don't worry, there's help. Introducing Grow-A-Pair, the revolutionary prescription solution designed to help you accept reality. With just 1 dose a day, you'll start to understand that tax dollars aren't meant for gender numeral electric vehicle startups in Vietnam. After taking Grow-A-Pair, you may notice life-changing improvements, such as smaller man boobs, the ability to fund your own transgender basket weaving without relying on Uncle Sam, and a newfound indifference to the defunding of the U.S. Department of Slope Sidewalk Studies. Grow-A-Pair won't solve all your problems, but it can help you stop fixating on who's going to pay for DEI pudding packs in Cambodia.
Side effects may include dry mouth, increased common sense, employment, smaller man boobs, and lower taxes.
Ask your doctor if Grow-A-Pair is right for you, because adulting is hard, but it doesn't have to be.
Oh, no, that was funny as. Oh, goodness. Thank you, Geoloft. Oh, Grow-A-Pair. Oh, my goodness. Okay. I was laughing most of the way through that. Okay, quietly to myself. Elon Musk said detail of cost savings will be posted here. Department of Government Efficiency. D.O.G.E website is live. Initial site, X-feed posts. Number 2, consolidated government org chart, enormous manual effort consolidating 16,000 plus offices. Summary of the massive regulatory state, including the unconstitutional index radio of rules written by unelected bureaucrats to laws passed by Congress. Coming soon, targeting it's Valentine's Day here in Australia. Oh, happy Valentine's Day. Description amount of each cost reduction with receipts where applicable. Overall savings scorecards will constantly be working to maximize the site's utility and transparency. Please let us know what else you want to see. Let's have a look. Cool. I'm following them on X anyway, so interesting. I might have to go over that another day. I'll keep it open. Where am I? Okay. Up and running outside USA now. Update working. Yep, it is. It's running outside the US because I can click on it. Okay. Okay. Oh my goodness. Hang on. Why have I bookmarked this? Oh yeah, they're the ones I've got to read on Rumble. Shivers. Okay, I'm at the end now. So there we go. So let's go back through the chat. Okay. We have Alex, George, Paul, Dell, Timmy, Ego Shredder, Menacing Muskrat. Dell said, if the future's so bright, why is the present so dark and getting darker? Because you have to walk through the darkness to appreciate the light at the other end. Or at least no, people, because people they don't listen, right? So they can't be told, they have to be shown. Okay, so you have to show the people, you can't tell them. So that's why we have to go through some darkness to get to the light, I believe. Dell said Trump's going to liberate Scotland. Nisi, how you going? Alex said, I think we're in for a much bumpier ride before it gets better. I don't think we've seen anything yet, Dell. Alex said, would be nice to get money that easy. Tim S. said, it's kind of weird how he does occasionally sound like an AI mimicking his voice. I thought that too, Tim S., sometimes. Is that really Trump? Or oh, dear. Okay, Ego Shredder said, on random YouTube videos, I see people are slowly flickering to the realization of the coming situation ahead. I know about 1% if what we do, they know about 1% of what we do, so they're in for a real shock. Yes, I agree, Ego Shredder. Dell said, Alex, well, all since Agenda 21 revealed in 2012 has come to fruition. We're on the right path. We're on the path right on schedule. I agree 100%. Hunt, forage, and learn how to crossbow. Tim has said, is it the mic, etc.? Hev's using. Yeah, it's me. I'm using a very good mic, but it's just every now and then when I open the hardware, the software, whatever you call it, it doesn't connect up together for some reason. It just goes funny. I don't know why. I really don't know. Alex said, I thought that last couple of days, Timmy, Trump sounds weird. Timmy said, future chat about that, Alex, if we can stay on task. Alex said, oh, wow, yeah, the veil is lifting. People will be in for a shock. Ego Shredder. Alex said, yeah, we end up going down loads of rabbit holes. Lots of fun, though. Dell said, RIP England, Europe, and Canada, too. Dell said, thousands were sent from, is it Aya? All Vatican Noncery gang? Or Erie? No, it's not Erie. It's Aya, I think. Alex said, yeah, I know. That's why I've been preparing. People are going to go crazy and start clearing the shelves, petrol pumps when the shit hits the fan, Dell. Menacing Muskrat said, be right back making Caesar salad dressing. Yum, I love the smell of oh, yum. Menacing Muskrat, my tummy has already been grumbling, and the talk of food is going to make it worse. Stu said, Maggot, make elbow go away. I agree, Stu. Hey, Zal, how you going? Ego Shredder said, if a movie is ever made about truthers like us, it'll be Watership Down 2 with new storyline. The song will go 5 eyes burning like Jews. 5 eyes burning like Jews. Is that what you mean? Oh, dear God. Zal said, get Harry Bowles to fix it all. Ego Shredder said TDS, EDS, but still no match for the DFS, perpetual sales furniture store in England for those who do not get the joke. Studio U said, G'day, Hev, Alex, J1, everyone. Alex said, I've not seen the film, but I'm laughing at the song. Zal said, why aren't any of these people in jail for making all these comments? Menacing Muskrat said, Victoria Newland sure looks different these days. The Adrenochrome shortage. Alex said, that's SW stew, not flyby, lol. Alex said, loop cake. A studio said, and author Dunga too, Alex. Zal said, Lambie's such a stooge, isn't she? She's honestly a Fruit Loop, mate. Seriously? J1 says someone should take a crayons off her. Yeah, exactly. She reckons you should all put your cowboy hats on and get ready. I don't know what for. Oh, I don't know what she's going to do. Seriously. And I don't stand behind her. Randy said, hello. Hello, Randy. Ego Shredder said, Alex, my sister took me to see the film as a 7-year-old in 1978. And according to her, I literally shit myself due to the shock. Sister was in trouble with mum afterwards. Oh, no. Robert, how you going? Chinese tofu army is all show, no go. Zal said, sorry, SW. Zal said, give him the gut. Nisi said, he's a fool. Alex said, I know. What's it about? I have heard of it, but I've never seen it. I might have to see the trailer now. Nisi said, exciting things are happening. I know. I bet you while I'm talking about this, there's more news coming out. J1 said, day one, Cash is releasing the e-files. I know. I can't wait. Alex said, I think we all feel like that the craziness has really ramped up the last few years. But do you think when they release the e-files is when they're going to start these riots and shit? Do you think when the Epstein files get released, do you think they're going to just go nuts? Because a lot of them are going to be involved. Sal said, you're fired. Ego Shredder said, Alex, it's kids' animated film about the life of some rabbits, but it was done as in a harsh reality kind of way. Recent reviews say it was propaganda, but I forget why. Randy said, Schumann frequency spikes. Oh, good stuff. Sal said, all the grifters are being exposed daily. It's so much fun to watch. Oh. Yeah, and they're on both sides. Grifters all over the place. Menacing Muskrat said, thumbs it up, folks. Thank you. Thank you very much, Menacing Muskrat. I appreciate that. If you can thumbs it up for me. And if you're not subscribed, please do so. It helps me out. Menacing Muskrat said, full moon tonight called the snow moon. Ooh. Randy said, you want my thumb up? Where? Randy. Okay. Ego Shredder said, Watership Down film, 1978, Paranormal Oz. How you going? Hey, Hev, everyone. Hope you're well. Menacing Muskrat had a message retracted. Alex said, I'll see if I can find it later. Wouldn't surprise me if it was propaganda. Plenty of that in films as well as truth. Stu said, Sal, watching the faces of doom on fake news at the White House press release is quite entertaining too. Sal said, Dr. Ben Dover should... Okay. I'm stopping there. Randy said, slow walking us into the NWO. Yeah, Phil McCracken. Yeah, Randy. What are you going to fill your Kraken with? Okay. Nursing Muskrats has put the link to the trailer in there. Alex said, thank you, Menacing Muskrat. Do you have the earthquakes at the moment? Mrs. MTW, how you going? Trump could cure cancer and the loony left would be protesting it and singing which side are you on? Exactly, Mrs. MTW. Exactly. Sal said, Hev, your PC is fired. Yeah, it should be. Menacing Muskrat said, my computer's doing some weirdness too, Hev. Oh, no. I don't know what's going on. It restarted itself during the night and then nothing worked anymore. And I'm like, oh, shit. Here we go. So I'm going to unplug it, restart it, undo the microphone from all the computer and then reinstall it, I think. Alex said, cool, I got the trailer now too, Menacing Muskrat. Zal said, g'day. Menacing Muskrat said, my computer just hiccuped. Dell said Zionist maniacs design all this since Wells and Bashir as Zionists come from all faiths. Zal said not one Muslim leader came out to denounce the nurse's comments. There you go. Ego Shredder said, Alex, I just read the wiki fandom link for the film. Quite accurate from what I remember of the film. It was a big hit at the time, regarded as a classic, I think. Menacing Muskrat said we had to read the Watership Down book in school along with George Orwell's Animal Farm, etc. Oh, see, that's interesting. When you make kids read things that are actually important, you know, like, yeah, it's always good. Alex said, I know what you mean. Sometimes I've got to restart my laptop as sometimes glitches out. Maybe it's a sign of things to come with internet going down, Menacing Muskrat. Sal said, insurrection as salty cracker calls. Yeah, the insurrection. Alex said, I think they think we know too much and don't like the people sharing so much information as they're losing control of us and the little situation agenda. Menacing Muskrat said 10 days of darkness are going... Oh, I just hiccuped. Sorry, guys. Are going soon, so prepare. It's coming soon. Dell said Jim Crow Act. Alex said, I'll have to check that out too, Ego Shredder. Dell said Rockefeller shot 28 strikers, then started a foundation to say sorry. Dell said, Kelly doing Hitler. Menacing Muskrat said Rockefeller and Roth kids answer to the top archon. Alex said that classic problem reaction solution. These people are so bent and corrupt, Dell. Dell said Menacing Muskrat, same as Bohemian Grove and elite who own 90% of wealth, and now media. Dell said Alex, infiltrate, integrate, and decimate. Yeah. Dell said he had a racist parrot, Andrew Jackson. Ego Shredder said there's always one phone camera in the audience. Yeah, the people who put the phone up right in front of the camera. Menacing Muskrat said, remember we're watching a movie and the movie's coming to an end. We're witnessing the closing scenes. Hallelujah. Now we'll see the pain. Be prepared. Yes, I am. And I'm well aware of that. But you can't, as I said, you can't tell the people. You have to show them. And this is what we're seeing. And that's why things are looking like psyops. And I believe the one in Australia, the nurses and doctor, are maybe psyops on the other side, our side, to try and trap Anthony Albanese into his words of and the Labor and Greens party as to whether they really want this hate speech because it's going to turn against them and their voters. We'll see. We'll see what happens. I need a sip of water. That's just a theory of mine, though. Because when you look at it like you're watching a movie, it all makes sense then why things look like psyops on both sides, maybe. Okay? Stu said RFK's in. That's got to be great news. Maha, yeah, definitely, Stu. Alex said, yeah, I think it's all going to kick off soon, Menacing Muskrat. Sal said, Tulsi is a babe. Alex said it's been building up for a while. Ego Shredder said, Menacing Muskrat, Ragnarok coming. Paranormal Oz said, I'm so excited to see the change. I can feel the shift. Alex said they want to decimate all right. Menacing Muskrat said, Paranormal Oz, indeed, we're witnessing some incredible times. We really are. Stu said, Trump the man they couldn't root, shoot, electrocute. Menacing Muskrat said, Alex, it's already kicked off. We're in the closing scenes. The normies are going to freak out. Paranormal Oz said, bloody oath, and it's an exciting time to be alive. God bless Trump and his team, and Godspeed. Sal said, Mushmouth Biden is totally cringe. Yeah, he can't even talk. And he was trying to look like vicious or angry or something. I don't know. He was just looking demented to me. Anyway. Alex said, yeah, they've already been freaking out, but I think people haven't seen anything yet. Just wait until we have full-on power cuts and food shortages. I don't think it's going to happen, Alex. I don't think it's going to get that far. Zal said, oh, no, there's no such thing as a conspiracy. Stu said, time to start watching the Bush Tucker Man. Zal said, all the cabal gophers are coming out of the woodwork daily as they're being exposed over and over. Like, it's good to be prepared, but I really don't think too much is going to go wrong. Like, I don't think you're going to have no food or anything like that. Alex said people have been preoccupied by the TV shows. No power, no more TV. People will be forced one way or the other to wake up. It will hit some people like a ton of bricks. Menacing Muskrat. Ego Shredder said, Alex, I think they will do a controlled breakdown, though, rather than sudden impact all at once. It suits those in power to do it that way rather than have everyone feral out and out for blood. Sal said, what needs to happen is an exposing of the true motivations of all these people being exposed. They're not just championing the Democrats. There's something deeper than that. Alex said, what if the TV doesn't go down and it gets taken over to show it all? Interesting thought. Alex said the House of Cards is falling. They're trying to claw onto the last bit of power they have until it all turns around on them. Stu said a lot of the streams I was watching who were wanting Trump now hate on him, bad actors or lost and confused. Judge Napoliano, the Grey Zone, etc. Wow. Yeah, I don't trust a lot of people, Stu. I haven't seen anyone that I watch turn on him. More people have turned toward him. The people that I watch that were on the left are turning towards him, but other than that, no, I can't see anything else. Sal said, this is the best viewing, Alex. No TV show can come close. Sal said, Tom Holman. Menacing Muskrat said, pain is coming. DS is desperate and they'll do anything right now. Evil versus God wins. Virginia said, I'm late. What did I miss? J1 said, the financial system will suffer a catastrophic crash. That is my thoughts on the wake up, hurry up. Yeah, I do think the financial system will suffer, but then there's another financial system ready to go beside that, I believe. Sal said those cartels are not just working for themselves, they're working for something deeper than that. Ego Shredder said, pisses me off that normies complain their country's gone to shit and then they say they're moving to another country. They caused the problem and then abandoned their fellow native people, leaving us to die. Menacing Muskrat said, so be prepared, stock up, gas up, and cash up. I'd say just be prepared. Stock up, gas up, and cash up. Alex said, I know what you mean. They do things like bit by bit so people don't notice, but they know they don't have much time left, so they might try a last-ditch attempt and do something big. Yeah, it'll be the last hurrah. Sal said the crash will only be short-lived before they finally reveal the true nature of our reality. Ego Shredder said, Alex, COVID was their attempt at something big, although maybe you mean even bigger stuff. Sal said, Ego Shredder, always the way of the NPC. Stu said, our foregone fathers and mothers did okay without all this stuff. Imagine the loony lefties back then. Oh, I don't think there were any. They were too busy trying to survive. And probably enjoying life too. Alex said, I've been stocking my pantry, but I still need to get some fuel for my jerry cans. Might see if I can get some of that red fuel this winter as it lasts longer. Sal said, noticed how relaxed all of Trump's team is, ranging from the press secretary to all the newbies being put under the pump by the Congress gophers. Stu said, it's going to be tough in the cities. The old farmer will do all right. Alex said, Billy Goat's been banging on about next pandemic. I think that's what that toxic gas fog's been about. I got really ill for weeks, and I think it's because I breathed it in, not knowing. Alex said, I've seen it back too, and we hardly ever get normal fog usually, which is what makes me think it wasn't normal fog. It's also been icy cold. Alex said, yeah, I'm just sitting back observing it all, Zal. Ego Shredder said, Alex, yeah, weather has been weird as fuck, like you say. I've had occasional unexpected breathing issues, which is not at all like me. Alex said, you missed Hev's microphone problems, but all fixed now, Virginia. Zena said, hi, Hev. Hi there, family. Been ninja, but got a comment. I think God asked Donald to do it. There you go. Stu said, fishing rod, sharp knife, bow and arrow would be a great asset in your bug out kit. I already got one. If you get really worried, I don't think it's going to come to that. I hope not. Yeah, I've got a bow and arrow. Ego Shredder said, that's Hev's Yuletide blooper reel sorted for 2025. Yeah, the last video, the 13-minute video I did. Zeta said, Alex, how are you doing, lovely? Alex said, good. Sal said, don't worry, folks. Harry Balls will fix it all. Zena said, hey, there's Al. Exciting times, hey? Stu said, glad you did ninja Zena because I believe you're right. Sal said, you betcha. Greatest show on earth. J1 said, Stu, a bug out bag or two. I got about 5 bug out, like things I got to take with me if I've got a bug out. Okay, Alex said, if I see that toxic gas cloud outside I close my windows and don't go out until it's gone. They have had nearly 6 years to plan the next one. I think it'll be nasty. I don't think it's going to happen, Alex. I think their funding's just been taken away and it's going to continue. Stu said, I live my life with my bug out bag every time I go bush. I even got a spare gun in my car just in case I break down at the beach. Sal said, I can't wait to see Australian politics to peel like a banana when the right pressure is applied. Alex said, especially now they've built their bunkers, they won't be able to escape forever, though. Revelation 6:16. Yeah, it is best to have it ready, Alex. Yeah. Ego Shredder said, Alex, wisdom has it they're trapped here on Earth anyway, and they need us more than we need them. If we ever leave this planet for another one, they'll be fucked. Alex said, have no fear, trust in God. Sal said, no, sounds like it's the TV in the next room of a cheap hotel, so you couldn't hear that one yet. Ego Shredder, yes, could hear, no problem. Oh, I had trouble hearing that one, Ego Shredder. J1 says, Studio, yeah, look out them. I took it out the middleman. I just live in the bush. Alex said, without our compliance, they'd be doing nothing. They would be nothing. They will be forever trapped, and probably why they want to move their consciousness to robots. We have God. Ego Shredder said, J1 must be a dirty innuendo-laden joke in there somewhere. Zena said, Alex, I have a question for you. You might be able to answer. Alex said, even Satanists have said on their deathbed, what I've done, in the other words of despair, as for some, there is a point of no return. J1 said, Ego, most definitely. Zena said, if Canada and Australia are part of the Commonwealth, how is it possible to make 51st state without the king being involved? Maybe the king's not the real king. And maybe he's dead. I don't know. Ego Shredder said, Zena, someone will correct me if I'm wrong, but wasn't the ceremony for Charles being sworn in botched in some way, making it illegitimate? Maybe I'm mixing things up, which I sometimes do. Stu said, Trump got him all right, as treason can only be enforced during a time of war. Zena said, honestly, I don't follow the coronation, but it seems strange that even a discussion about it could be with the king. Alex said, that's a good point. I'm not completely sure, but I think they could possibly do something like Barbados did a few years back and abolish the monarchy, which I think we should all do, in my opinion, Zena. J1 said, Zena, I have a feeling when Trump did his world capitulation tour in the first round, the rules changed. I think so too, J1. Zena said, maybe they screwed up when they unleashed under the Emergency Act, but it didn't go deep enough, haha. J1 said, it truly is a movie production. Well, it makes more sense when you look at it like that, J1. Zena said, J1, yes, something changed. The Saudis gave Trump the sword, and the king of Saudi looked defeated. Deb said, hello, sweetie. I did not think you'd be on today. Oh, God love you. Alex said, I can't stand the royal family. They should have stood down when the Queen went. They're the biggest loads of parasites that use countless public money to live in luxury while people starve and freeze. Zal said, what king? He is dead, and an actor is playing him. No, see, that's part, you never know which one it's going to be. Is he dead? He's not legit. There could be a few reasons how that could happen. Zena said, disclosure, but not what we thought. The alien invasion has already happened. These Democrats are just not human. Alex said, well, he will never be my king or whoever is playing him, lol. Zena said, Zal, might be why you can't have that conversation, selling off or giving up Canada. Zal said, oh, old sausage fingers. And yeah, hey, Zena. And Deb. J1, the deals are been done. Trump is just cleaning up the scraps now. It's all tailwinds from here on in, but it'll still be a fun ride. Menacing Muskrat said there was a lot of weirdness with King Charles' coronation. Check out Tim Cohen's book, The Antichrist, and a cup of tea. Deb said, hello, our beautiful Menacing Muskrat. Alex said, introducing Grower Pair. That was good, wasn't it? Zal said, Xenotron, they're part of the lineages left to rule over us while the invaders were off doing their thing on other domes in the Great Dome. But they're all done. All we're seeing now is a mass unveiling. Yeah, g'day, George. How you going? Good to see you. Zal said, no skinny soy lattes here. Alex said, needed that laugh. Zena said, this is bigger than WikiLeaks. Alex said, I can't wait until it's all uncovered. Zal's been a long time coming. Yes, it's much bigger than WikiLeaks. Where was I? There we go. Mrs. Out to lunch, jumping on for a second to say hello. I'm at my mum's and dad's, helping them tonight. Much love to all, and was wondering if Fred would be my Valentine because Donna loves Fred. You'll be safe. Oh, you guys are so cute. Fred loves Donna and Donna loves Fred. You be each other's Valentines. God love ya. Alex said, all in good time, though. Everything will be at the right time. There goes Shredder said, oops. Sal said it will still be shocking to all. And where am I? Alex said, sorry, George, didn't see you at the start. Was distracted by the mic situation. Luna, how you going? You late but still made it. Sherry's in here. Joanne, how you going? Hi, see you all later. May you all have a wonderful day ahead. You too, Joanne. Paulie, how you going, Paulie? Good to see ya. Where am I? Timmy said I was referring to the mic. Trump was using that. Makes him sound like AI. Either the mic or soft editing software. I don't know. Yeah, it might be. It might be. It might be Trump's mic that's making him sound like AI. I agree. Yeah, it could be. Or the editing software. Or whoever's taking it. You know, sometimes people walk up to their TVs with their mobile phone and take the video that way as well. And it sounds weird when they do that. So, yeah, I don't know. Sal said, don't worry, all the NPCs will only buy up the toilet paper, white flour and white rice. Alex said, wonderfully done, Hev. 5 eyes. Yeah, you're probably right. They are clearly full of shite, Zolzal, said Alex. Paulie had a message retracted. Zena said, Hev, their money's resource has been cut off. They won't do it unless they're paid. Not going to happen without US aid. I know. That's what I think. A lot of things aren't going to go through because US aid has been cut off. So they won't be able to do a lot of what they wanted to do, put it that way. Stu said the only jobs left in Australia are working for globalist companies or government. I know. J1 said, I'm stocking up on ice cream and chocolate and popcorn. J1 said, a beautiful elderly lady, what my secret was to my slim appearance yesterday. I said inflation. Oh, that's a good one, J1. Menacing said, Elon is turning over the USAID stones, rocks, and the cockroaches are scrambling. Light purification, definitely. Stu said, can't even imagine what the meth heads and smack heads are going to do when supply goes down. Paulie said, Alex, while I remember, I have to watch your music video from a couple of days ago. Look forward to it. Stu said, all the drug dealers too. There's no jobs for them left. Alex said, we need V for Vendetta moment with the big screen. Lol, I need to watch that film. Stuart said, sorry, watching Trump live. We'll watch replay. Hello, everyone. How you going, Stuart? I don't blame you. I'd be watching Trump too. Okay, Zal said, no, Hev, there'll be no money where we're going. Once the crash comes, the reveal will take place. Fair enough. Menacing Muskrat said that's what's going to happen. The old system will crash and the new Tesla system will come online. Pat, how you going, Pat? Menacing Muskrat said the age of Aquarius, the golden age is what Trump calls it. Anyone experienced weird fog crap, said Menacing Muskrat. Alex said, I hope you enjoy it. I'm in the process of making one for tomorrow of all the music now. I just need to edit it all together. Will be another heavy bass mix ready for the weekend. And Paulie gave a thumbs up. Menacing Muskrat said, Deep State is throwing everything and anything against the wall and hoping that something will stick. Yeah, they are. Alex said, yes, I was, but you know what? When you sling mud, you're losing ground. That's supposed to be a joke. Anyway, okay, Alex said, yeah, I was saying it earlier about fog, and I think Zena was right the other week when she said it was toxic gas. It made me sick for weeks at Christmas after I breathed it in, Menacing. Alex said it's been back this week too, and there's been an icy chill in the air, even though the temperature hasn't been down that low. Deb said, yes, Adelaide has some challenging days. Oh, is that what I read? Yep. Menacing Muskrat said, I was told by Mason that he knew the Holy Bible better than any Christian. He said he had to know his enemy. J1 said, Alex, icy chill chemical evaporation. Deb said, being very hot in SA. Oh, wow, really? I think we're going into the coolness now here in the mountains in Sydney, in west of Sydney. Paul Udona said, UK royalty. We had Richard the Lionheart, Edward Longshanks, and now presenting Charles the Tampon. Good one, Paulie. Zena said, if Charles is a fake, then that might explain him turning on Kamala. Zena said, he's a mole, the new Charles. J1 said, Muskrat, 36-degree order of the secret monitor. Ego Shredder said, too much drink equals weenie leaks. Zena said, with the fog, I think that they have dissolved a layer of gases in the stratosphere. And the next layer is starting to leak through a layer that we should not be breathing. Alex said, interesting. It's definitely felt strange outside and a lot colder to what the temperature says in the gauge. Zena said, creating all kinds of chaos up there. Well, all their funding's been turned off. USAID was funding chemtrails and all that. You know, weather manipulation. So, I don't know. And I think a lot of that's to scare people, like you shouldn't be breathing anymore. Don't breathe. For God's sake, don't breathe. I don't know. I don't know. I'm just being silly. Don't mind me. But you never know. You know, you might be right. Alex said, I've been staying inside when I see it and close my windows. Zena said, where I live, I could see like a river coming out of the sky, forming a fog that moved across the valley. Wow. Stu said, Valentine's Day, get me a bucket. I want to puke. No, I'm just kidding. For without love, I wouldn't exist. Exactly. Zena said, winding through a river, like a river, and it took about 4 hours to pass over my mountain. Wow. Zena said, I've had breathing difficulties for weeks since it happened. J1 said, Alex, first thing I thought of when you said it was warm with a chill in the air. Alex said, they are a horrid lot, the Royals. Zal said, nah, menacing, there'll be no Elon financial heaven post-crash. Alex said, that's what happened to me. I couldn't breathe through my nose either. I think it lasted 2 and 3 months in all. I'm still not 100%, but can at least breathe through my nose now. Zena said, it takes me 3 rest stops to walk up the hill. I used to need just 1. Zena said, Jill and Camilla were separated at birth. Sal said, have you seen all Camilla's mask line? No. Alex said, that's a really good point, and I might look into that further, as they have definitely been doing something, maybe what all those drones were doing. Ego Shredder said, Alex, now that's a long time. Luckily for me, it was just a few hours on a few days here and there. J1 says, sounds like inflammation, turmeric, and with black pepper as a companion will help, or oregano is good as well. Alex said, billionaires still have the money in private contracts, though. I hope they all get shut down, but these people are psychos, even destroying themselves in the process. Zena said, oh, and so has everyone in town. You know what? Get gas masks. That's what I reckon. Ego Shredder said, keep the chat going. Okay, with that, guys, I'm going to go. I hope you have a good day. Have a good morning, afternoon, or evening. I'll be back for the Saturday stream tomorrow, and I won't be here on Sunday. So hopefully we can have a call in tomorrow on Rumble. And hopefully Timmy, maybe Alex can join us. Okay, guys, have a good one. Bye.